Teaching in America sucks. That's it. That's the video. Guys, I know you probably are like, not this again, especially since I made a video about this before, but I just need to get this out because it's come to my attention that some people still don't get it and still have basically some deluded ideas of what it means to be a teacher in the United States. Now, unfortunately, America isn't like Scandinavian countries, for example, where teachers are valued, teachers are seen as role models, and teachers are respected, and teachers are paid what they deserve. America is the complete opposite. In America, teachers have to be the social workers, the nannies, the babysitters, and the educators, and some people even want us to carry guns. It's just, and then we wonder why this country is so behind and backwards. But let me just dig right into this video's topic: why teaching in America sucks. For a while now, I've been interested in the field of education. In fact, when I was in high school, I even wanted to be a teacher for a while. But a lot of my teachers dissuaded me from it and said, "Don't do it, John. This is not the way to go." And I often wondered why. And obviously, teachers are rarely going to spill the beans to a 17 or 18-year-old at the time because, they don't think it's appropriate, or I wouldn't understand. But I did understand. Even back then I understood, and I realized how being a teacher in America is like being choked from all sides, from the school administrators, the principal, the assistant principals, the parents, etc. Everyone views you essentially as the one that's at fault. If the students don't come to class, you're at fault. If the students don't progress a grade level, you're at fault. If students don't pass the test, you're at fault. And when did teaching become babysitting? When did teaching become social work? And I know a lot of you have seen a lot of great anti teaching content on YouTube and TikTok. There are a few channels on YouTube that I'm subscribed to myself that go into great lengths about teachers who have just quit the profession and just gave up after a year or two because they couldn't take the disrespect, they couldn't take the lack of accountability, they couldn't take being blamed for everything, because it will psychologically destroy you as it would anyone. But the point is, being a teacher in America is basically being seen as the one that is at fault for all the problems that happen with students. There's no accountability from the parents. There's no accountability from the principals. There's no accountability from the school administration. It all falls on the teacher. And that's why so many teachers are leaving the profession in America. And of course, this ties into my next point: being underpaid and overworked. I'm a teacher myself, and even though I don't work in a public school, a lot of my coworkers do. A lot of my coworkers work 2 or 3 jobs in education to make ends meet. Let me repeat that. A lot of my coworkers work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. It's become normalized in the education world to work multiple jobs to make ends meet, because this is how underpaid we are overall in America. In other countries, teachers are paid the highest. Teachers are valued. Teachers are seen as somebody that contributes something to society and shapes the minds of the next generation. In America, teachers are viewed as babysitters, as social workers, as nannies, essentially. And I'm not here to raise your child. I'm not here to raise your child. I didn't sign up for this. I'm not a parent, and I don't wish to be one at my job. But teachers are just so severely underpaid in the United States that it's criminal. And it's crazy that we can pay all of these bureaucratic people sitting at a desk in an office doing nothing all day, but we can't pay a fair wage to people that are shaping our country's future's minds. Another problem with being a teacher in America is that a lot of public schools and a lot of public school systems and districts are vastly underfunded. You'll have students using textbooks from 50 years ago, decades ago, that are out of date and, have lost their relevance. You'll have students that don't have even a place to sit because class sizes are so big. And you'll just basically encounter a lot of these things that you'll wonder to yourself, I cannot believe this is the reality for schools and public education in the United States of America in 2025. And to add insult to injury, some public school districts in the United States, like the Chicago public school system, have been misusing and misappropriating funds that were supposed to be invested in public education and have used it instead for other issues that they weren't supposed to. And this has caused, of course, mass teacher shortages, a bunch of layoffs, underfunded schools, and millions of dollars lost within public education. So students will have bigger class sizes and less teachers because all of the teachers are being fired due to staff budget cuts.
A new round of CPS layoffs will impact teachers and special education assistants. CPS is cutting more than 1,400 jobs to help close that $730 million gap they're facing. The staffing changes will impact more than 400 teaching positions. Nearly 700 special ed assistants will lose their jobs.
This is how much America does not prioritize education. And with this administration targeting universities and trying to slash the Department of Education, I just don't see how it's going to get any better. Teachers are going to be more strained, be told to teach to the test even more, be stifled in every direction, and just be crippled essentially because there's no room for creativity, there's no room for decision making, there's no room for independent thought. Everything is just teach to the test, teach to the test, teach them these pre-selected subjects and topics. And it's like, no wonder people lack critical thinking skills. No wonder people can't deduce irony and sarcasm anymore, because no one is being taught to think anymore. They're just being taught how to bubble in scantrons and take tests. And lastly, I just want to say that nothing is more infuriating than having higher-ups who have never even spent a day in their lives teaching in a classroom, telling you how to teach and what to do. These people that are freshly graduated from Ivy League universities think they know everything because they studied educational pedagogy and stuff, but they have no real world or real life classroom experience. And I bet you if they did, they would crumble in 2 seconds. And yet these people are in charge of decision-making, policy, education decisions, and out-earn teachers by 2 or 3 times as much. How is that even fair? How is that fair at all? A lot of public schools in the United States have been eroding and bleeding money, and it's been siphoned off to charter schools and private schools, which is obviously illegal because schools that are private cannot profit from public funds, but this is starting to happen in the United States because laws are being passed to go around this and to, circumvent these type of regulations and restrictions. So the problem is that, like many things in America, education has become a for-profit business. There is no interest in teaching students anymore. There's no interest in critical thinking. There's no interest in learning about our world. The only interest is to make money. And that's the huge problem with education in America in 2025. And I do not want to be a part of that. And if you're wanting to be a teacher, I do not recommend you do so. Go teach somewhere in Europe. Go teach in a country where teachers are actually valued. The United States does not value its teachers. I'm not trying to make myself sound like a victim here, but I myself am looking for a second, really a third job, because the money that I make in education is just not enough, especially to live in a place like New York City, which is where I reside. And so it's crazy that I, as a teacher, have to go through all this. And on top of that, look for an additional job that will also underpay me within the field of education. Perhaps one day things will change for teachers and education in America, but I'm not holding my breath. And I recommend that all teachers or wannabe teachers look elsewhere, look at other countries or other places to become a teacher, or at least become a university professor where you can eventually get tenure. But that is its own other conversation and struggle, but we'll not get into that in this video. But I just want to say that being a teacher in America in 2025 is bleak. And I do not recommend this job because even though I love my students and I love to teach and it gives me purpose to be able to contribute and give back to somebody, it is exhausting and it requires a lot of mental and physical fortitude that a lot of people just simply don't have. And so when people say things like teachers are overpaid or teachers do nothing, it's a slap in the face. I genuinely care about my students. I genuinely love to teach, but it's other external factors and people that don't appreciate me that make me miserable at the job. So that's just my take on it as a teacher in America in 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about this video and this topic in the comments below, because I love to hear from you guys. And as always, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.